your daily Philadelphia Eagles podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome on in, everybody, to another edition of your daily Philadelphia Eagles podcast. It's the Locked On Eagles podcast. As always, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Louis DiBiase, joined by my co-host Gino Camilleri. It's a Wednesday edition of the show, episode 3, guys, of 5, downloaded into your phone when you subscribe to Locked On Eagles, wherever you get your podcasts, all throughout the week on Odyssey, on Apple, Google, Stitcher, Spotify, and now on YouTube as well. We're on Twitter at Locked On Birds, at DiBiase LOE, at GC24_football. Gino, we did the post-game show on Monday. What a great way to start the season with an Eagles dominant Week 1 win in Atlanta, 32-6 against the Falcons. We went into our first edition of Stock Up, Stock Down in 2021 on Tuesday's edition of the show. We've got today, we've got the crossover tomorrow with Locked On 49ers. We're diving into the Week 2 matchup. We're off and running, and it's time to still talk about that Atlanta matchup, but slowly transition to, relate that to this coming Sunday's home opener at the Link against the 49ers.
I thought if anybody saw the post-game press conference, or not post-game press conference, the locker room video that Philadelphia put up when Jeffrey Lurie handed Nick Sirianni the game ball, and Nick Sirianni and everybody in there, even Jeffrey Lurie said it, it's time to go to round 2. Like we got through round 1.
The dog mentality.
The dog mentality. Look at the NFL like a boxing match. A boxing match is around 12 rounds. You got 5 more plus that. You got to make sure that you got your fists up and ready to go every single time. And I love what Nick Sirianni keeps preaching. Like, just like a dog. Like when I come home and see my dogs, it's all they care about is attacking me and get back to that dog mentality where who you see across from you, that's what matters in that current moment in time. And there's in gambling the idea of quote unquote a look ahead game. And I don't think the Eagles are in that state where they are looking ahead at all. Like it's all focused on San Francisco in that locker room. And I'm ready to go, Lou. This should be a fun test, a lot faster team on both sides of the ball. And I think Kyle Shanahan is going to be a worthy adversary to see what the Eagles can do against them.
Absolutely. I think it'd be more fun if Trey Lance was starting, and we'll get into some quarterback talk later on in the show and kind of compare these two teams and how they're building these rosters, and just the way San Francisco has done things this year reminds me a lot of the Eagles a few years back, and we'll kind of compare the two on today's show. But Gino, the Eagles were busy today getting into some news. The front office cleared up over $11 million in cap space by restructuring Fletcher Cox contract, which is one of the biggest ones on the books right now outside of Carson Wentz's deal they're still paying for. It is the biggest contract on the books when it comes to salary cap implications, but they freed up over $11 million in it right now by turning over $13 million of his deal into a signing bonus. And when you see the Jordan Mailata deal come this past weekend, it's no surprise you see a move like this. I think Fletcher Cox is not slowing down, right? And you see guys like him, they can play late into their 30s. I think they want him. They do this when they think a guy can be part of the team still for a long time because you're backloading the contracts. Sometimes it doesn't work, i.e. Alshon Jeffrey, but sometimes it does work. Lane Johnson and Fletcher Cox, I feel like, have been doing this
Jason
every
Kelce
year.
Too, you got to talk.
Yeah, Jason Kelce, Zach Ertz. I feel like these guys have been doing this for years upon years now. So
Tom Brady, that's what they're doing. Just kick the can down the road.
And it's going to help you pay for the younger guys you want to keep long term. And I don't mean Derek Barnett. I don't mean giving a contract extension to Zach Ertz. I hope this move helps push forward an extension with guys like Dallas Goedert and Josh Sweat.
The idea that Howie Roseman is limited by the salary cap, even when he has no money at all to spend.
No NFL team is limited. There's just too many ways to
get that out of your head. We've said it on this show plenty of times for the last couple of years that we have been together, and especially now, and how this Eagles team is made up, Lou. They have the greatest gift in the NFL, a quarterback on a rookie deal. And that allows you to do things like this, to sign those pillars that are going to be there. So once you do have to either sign Jalen Hurts down the road, or if you draft another quarterback, sign him down the road, this money with all of these pillars, these guys that are the four corners of your house, they're keeping things up. Fletcher Cox, Jason Kelce, we mentioned, Zach Ertz, Lane Johnson. These guys, are part of the plan. And I believe that Philly has done a good job in making it known, like, if you're part of the plan, we'll make sure that you're part of the plan.
Or like we're part of the plan, at least with Kelce and Ertz. Yeah.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it. And the idea that Fletcher Cox could be trade bait after this offseason, like, I don't think you can trade a guy playing at this level. I
don't want to anyway.
And I don't either. I think he should retire in Philadelphia. And I think at that position as well, you're right, Lou. You look at a guy in Pittsburgh, right down the street there in Pennsylvania, a guy in Cam Hayward. Like, he is one of the best at doing his job in the interior. And that guy's going to be close to 40 in a couple years. So guys at that position, as long as you have, Jonathan Gannon said it today in his presser, like, keep those guys fresh. And it seems that Fletcher Cox now he looks like he's in better shape. He looks like he's healthy. They want to keep him fresh. Take that money now and help out that guy. Help out by signing a Josh Sweat to an extension, which they definitely need to do. And I would say Darius Slay might be a guy that you might want to look at extending for a year or two, seeing that he only had a 3-year deal. So this opens up the possibility now for Howie Roseman to get stuff done in season that you don't have to worry about next year. And with all that carryover that they're going to have, Lou, now that Wentz deal is gone, why not get things done now? Because you know that you're going to have this big bankroll coming in the offseason. So if you could get work done on the books and get it out of the way before week 2, I'm totally fine with that. And it should be, and I believe it will be, to keep one of these young players just like Josh Sweat in-house.
I mean, those are the two big guys, but I mean, you mentioned a few as well. Darius Slay, Avonte Maddox is going to be a free agent. The 1-year free agents you sign, maybe you want Anthony Harris to be a part of this core for the next 4 years. Maybe Eric Wilson. I mean, I expect him to bounce back from that first game. We've both been high on the Wilson signing. Maybe you want to re-sign Eric Wilson, right? So there's a lot of decisions they can make this free agency. Miles Sanders too. You're probably going to want to extend him for sure. So there's a lot of decisions to make. And I think having Fletcher Cox here is great, and having him free up some space with this restructure, it's a win-win. And again, I know like you said, there was some trade rumors this offseason just because they're rebuilding, and everybody thinks with a rebuild, that just means you build around all 22-year-olds. No, like a guy that's at the top of his game, that's a top 2 player at his position, at least top 5, that's a part of the rebuild. Again, veterans are a part of the rebuild. Yeah, a 36-year-old isn't. You don't restructure a guy that's 36 or a guy that's 33 and declining and getting hurt every year. But I don't think that's the case with Fletcher Cox at all, as you said. So I like this move, and it's going to help them prioritize the future by going after these extensions for hopefully the two I'm most focused on is Dallas Goedert and Josh Sweat on both sides of the football. Gino, some other news to get into today, and it really hurts the Eagles' opponent on Sunday. San Francisco 49ers cornerback 1, Jason Verrett, out for the season with a torn ACL, and he was a former first-round pick coming out of TCU, really had a slow start to his career with the Chargers, right? With San Diego at the time, and he's really come into his own, though, the past few years. He was a top corner graded out from PFF last year, was good when he played the Eagles for sure. Him tearing his ACL is huge. I was looking forward to seeing Jalen Hurts against this defense that already has a great pass rush. Then Verrett in the backfield. It would have been interesting to see Hurts against that entire unit. Still will be, but Verrett not being there is a huge advantage for the offense.
Yeah, and you also look at their offense. Raheem Mostert out for the season as well. He elected to get knee surgery. So 2 premier players that this team are going against are not going to be playing. And we never like to celebrate injuries, of course, but it does make the schedule look a little bit easier for you. And I'm terrified to play that front. Like, no lie, it's not going to be an easy game by any stretch of the imagination. But now without the cornerback 1 there to worry about, you can game plan a little easier. All right, let's get this ball out quick so we don't have to worry about Bosa and everybody on that line coming after you as quick. I think a lot of those concepts that they had last week, that screen game, I'm sure they'll work efficiently this week as well. I'm sure they'll want to get Quez Watkins more involved outside of the first series of the game. I mean, after that, he really wasn't involved, but I think it'll be quick. Jalen Hurts should get the ball out in under 2.5 seconds for sure. But at the same time, Lou, it does help this Eagles team, like how they were
for
gashed.
Devontae Smith, if you're going to bet on
Yeah.
betonline.ag and talk about some over-unders for Devontae or fantasy owners, because I think Verrett was going to shadow him probably all game. So that's huge for number 6.
Yeah, and at the same time, they do have depth there as well. You're going to see Ambry Thomas, who is a rookie, is going to be probably their number one outside of Josh Norman. But you're right, Lou, that hurts them. And we have seen what taking one guy away from that cornerback unit can do. And the continuity in the defensive backfield is something that you really have to worry about. And with Jaquiski Tartt, and Jimmy Ward behind you, it does take a little bit of burden off of that defense now with Verrett out. But at the same time, Lou, you look across the board, I think these two teams are very evenly matched when you look at each of the individual positions.
Yeah, no, I do too. I think both teams I think San Francisco, more people favored to be good this year compared to the Eagles. But yeah, this is going to be, last year you saw it was a close game and the Eagles both teams were extremely banged up. This side of the coin, San Francisco is more banged up than Philadelphia, but there's still so much talent on that 49ers team on both sides that I think this will be a close game on Sunday. But yeah, not having Verrett is a huge advantage for the Eagles. Just looking at the numbers from Jared Goff on Sunday when the Niners played Detroit. Goff before the Verrett injury, he was 21 of 33 for 183 yards, 5.5 yards per average attempt, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick, and 85.8 passer rating. Then after Verrett got hurt, 17 of 24, completed almost 71%, 155 yards, averaged nearly 7 yards an attempt, 1 touchdown, no pick, a 101.9 passer rating. And that's going to happen when you lose a CB1. It's going to benefit the offense.
Yeah, they do have a young Diamador Lenore out of Oregon, Sco Ducks. He has been one of the better rookies since the preseason. I don't think he allowed a catch in the preseason, and last week I think he allowed 1 catch as well. So they do have guys that can play, but at the same time, it's youth going against youth. Like how San Fran is building is very much how I want the Eagles to build in terms of their defensive line. At the time when they still had DeForest Buckner,
2 of the deepest in the league. This is going to be a fun game.
It wasn't even fair when they had DeForest and Eric Armstead there. Like, that was not fair. But yes, exactly, Lou. Like, 2 teams that invested in the trenches. You look at the offensive line for San Fran as well. 2 teams that I think John Lynch, like out of all these media guys that have gone into front offices, has really hit a grand slam in what he has done in the last couple of years, especially with his draft picks.
Outside of the Solomon Thomas pick, he has really nailed a lot of his selections, especially on the defensive side of the football. And yeah, Gino, the way the 49ers are building, the way they've built, remind me of what the Eagles have done. And it's like you said, kind of what we want them to continue to do. And so we're going to kind of compare these two teams as we take a first look at the Eagles Week 2 matchup against San Francisco. Coming up next right here on Locked On Eagles. And guys, today's show is sponsored by betonline.ag. We're back and better than ever this football season. All eyes are on the gridiron as teams are back to start another football season. As always, BetOnline is your number one spot for all the pro and college football action this season with a new updated site and interface. Even more odds, props, and contests are now available at betonline.ag. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today to receive your 100% welcome bonus when you use our promo code LOCKEDON. That's LOCKEDON. That's double your initial deposit just for signing up. Don't forget to use the promo code as well, NFL 100 at checkout. From football and basketball to boxing, right to your favorite Vegas casinos. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for 2021. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts. All right, Gino, Louis DiBiase, Gino Camilleri. This is Locked On Eagles, a Wednesday edition of your daily Philadelphia Eagles podcast. We are taking a first look at this Eagles matchup, Week 2, the home opener at Lincoln Financial Field. And Gino, before we kind of talk about these two teams philosophically and how they've been building, it's just going to be incredible to see fans at the Link packed for the first time in 2 years. Since that do or die game in 2019. I'm actually wearing that shirt today against Dallas in week 16. We have not seen fans packed and excited to see the Birds. Even last year, if they were there, it would have been kind of a brutal scene for sure. The Eagles are lucky they weren't there.
Yeah, exactly. Even when they had those limited fans, they went through some tough games, man. Like that, I feel bad for everybody that did get a ticket. But now, Lou, we talk about this breath of fresh air over this team. That building is going to be so loud on Broad Street, it's going to be tough for Jimmy G to get those calls in. Like, that place is going to be popping. I know what an opening season of Lincoln Financial Field sounds like. And now that it has been 2 years since they've seen a game,
right?
I mean, get ready to hit the Richter scale, folks. Like, that place is going to be loud. The decibel level is going to be crazy. Wouldn't shock me if they cause an earthquake that you see sometimes in sporting events where you get that little bit on the Richter scale. And I'm excited for everybody who has tickets. I know a bunch of people, our friend Chris Malley and all the Fourth and John guys will be there doing their tailgate as always. But just enjoy it. Like, this is the first time that all of these people that have been on Twitter and talking to us are going to be seeing a Jalen Hurts, a Nick Sirianni, a Jonathan Gannon team for the first time. And I'm excited to just hear it, man. I'm going to put my
fans for the first time. Jalen didn't have that, so he better have a good game, because it doesn't matter if you're QB1 and it's your first start at home. They're going to let you have it regardless if you're not playing up to their expectations, which sometimes are a little bit maybe too unfairly high, but of course it's a conversation for another day. Gino, the Eagles take on the San Francisco 49ers. They got a win, putting up over 40 points in Detroit on Sunday. They won 41-33 against the Lions. And you kind of watch this team. It would be way more exciting if rookie quarterback Trey Lance, the third overall pick out of NDSU, was playing. But at the same time, it is still interesting, this matchup. Like, watching the 49ers on Sunday, seeing how they went about this offseason, despite making the Super Bowl a couple years ago, reminds me a lot of the Eagles, even going back 5 years ago. It's just super interesting to see how teams do this, how they go about like trying to win now, but also, playing for the future. And just the way that some teams try to settle and some teams won't. In San Francisco, decided not to settle this offseason at the quarterback position. I mean, despite they had an excuse, they could have said, we're running it back with Jimmy Garoppolo. We were a few plays away from winning a championship with this guy 2 years ago, and you could have hid behind that, and I feel like your job security would be way more safe, right? If you're Kyle Shanahan and if you're this organization, because Jimmy G's safe, right? He's got a high floor, and you're probably going to win 9 to 10 games a year with Garoppolo as your quarterback. But the Niners said, no, we're trying to not be good, right? We're trying to be great. And that's why they moved up for Trey Lance. It's kind of like what they did with Colin Kaepernick benching Alex Smith, despite in 2012 they were winning football games. And it's just what the Eagles did in 2016. And it's so frustrating. It's not just San Francisco, though. I wish they would go all in like the Eagles did in 2016, playing Trey Lance, or Chicago too on Sunday night. It was driving me nuts that Justin Fields was only playing in these Michael Vick 2009 or Jalen Hurts 2020, like stupid packages. It's like, just put them out there. They hide behind they aren't ready, quote unquote, excuse. To me, what I feel like it is a lot of the time is that coaches are delaying the inevitable, because they know the minute that rookie's out there, the clock starts on their job security, because you are linked to that quarterback that you invest in for your career, or at least there. And so I really do wish it would have been a lot more fun to see Trey Lance against Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I'll start with that point, what you finished with there. And I think Chicago and San Fran are like two different poles of like where they are right now. Like, I don't believe Nagy wants to play Fields because this could be his last chance.
I agree.
I don't know why San Fran isn't playing Trey Lance.
Yeah.
Because John Lynch,
They're
Kyle
safe.
Shanahan are tied at the belt together. And this is the first guy that they've picked under this regime. They traded for Jimmy Garoppolo. I think they've gotten a fair amount of play out of him. And you use the example of Colin Kaepernick. I was going to use the same player in Alex Smith in what the Chiefs did with Patrick Mahomes, a player who has this high ceiling with an unbelievable arm. Alex Smith doesn't get it done, and then they sit him. Like, that's how it should be. But
Chiefs didn't go far enough. I think them wasting a year of Mahomes, some people give them credit for that, for why he threw for 51 touchdowns a year later. I say no. Like, I think that was a waste of his season. You burned a whole year of his rookie contract by not playing it.
Yeah, it's like either see if he can play or he can't play, because what does San Fran not have that Trey Lance is going to have going forward?
Well, that's the thing, Gino. If the rosters weren't ready, I would understand if it was like the Eagles' offensive line last year. But like even Chicago, San Fran, they're built for a rookie quarterback can thrive more in San Fran.
Yeah, I totally agree. And like you look at a guy in New York with the Jets and Zach Wilson, like that roster is not ready to compete.
Or Jacksonville too.
Yeah, or with Trevor Lawrence, a great point, Lou. And Trey Lance he's a built winner. Like I believe he has good enough accuracy. He had unbelievable statistics in college coming out of North Dakota State. He really is a Kyle Shanahan like protege type of quarterback. You know what I mean? Like when Kyle Shanahan blew that Super Bowl for the Falcons, I believe if he had a mobile type of player, like the play calling might have been different down the stretch. You know what I mean? Other than Matt Ryan. Same with Jimmy Garoppolo in the Super Bowl. Once Bill Belichick, did they play New England? Or no, they played Kansas City. That's Kansas City. They played Kansas City. Excuse me. I was thinking about the Jared Goff. Yeah, but when they figured him out in that Super Bowl, I mean, it was Kansas City's game to win. You know what I mean? Like they just didn't have a guy who had that like killer mentality in Jimmy G, who is a player you win with, not totally because you win because of. Trey Lance, I really believe fits that archetype of a guy that can really change a game. His first throw of the season, throws for a touchdown. I mean, he clearly understands the
Justin
offense.
Fields scored a touchdown too on Sunday night.
He clearly understands the offense. And I'm like you, Lou. Like we saw it. Even here this year, Lou, with Jalen Hurts, it's like, okay, we brought in a veteran in Flacco who really didn't have a chance. But there are teams, i.e. the Denver Broncos, that brought in a Joe Flacco and started him over a young quarterback. You have to play the youth. Like you have to, no matter at what position. Like we know the quarterback position above and beyond is the most important position in football. So why not see if that kid can play right away? Especially with this roster, Lou. Like I look at it, Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, you got the receivers. You have
George Kittle.
Yeah, George Kittle as well. You have this homestead of running backs that they just seem to churn through there. A defense that is going to win you all these games. So what, man? I mean, at the end of the day, that's a tough division in the West. I don't see Jimmy G like out-dueling a Russell Wilson, out-dueling those other, like I see Trey Lance being able to do that. I don't know if it's because we're over here on the East Coast talking about him, but at the same time, we have been through a certain situation. Even if Wentz wasn't as good as he could have been in 2016, there were still parts of that allowed him to prosper in 2017.
Oh, if he didn't play in 2016, you're not winning a Super Bowl in 2017.
Right. So do you put Trey Lance back a year just because of that? No, I believe that Shanahan might be forced to, like a couple games in it. Like if they're 4-4 halfway through the season, Lou, like they might force his hand to actually have to play Trey Lance.
Right. Well, and my other point is too, like even if you're winning with Jimmy Garoppolo, what progress is that? You've already proven that you can win with a guy that's just okay. It's the same thing with Chicago. You made 2 playoff seasons of the last 3 with Mitchell Trubisky. You've already proven to the league that you can win with average quarterback play. So what's doing it again going to help you with? And so, again, if you truly believe that the rookie sitting on the bench is best for his development, then I understand. But I'm never somebody that believes that you're going to learn more sitting on the sidelines. And when you're set up with the rosters that they have, or even Jalen Hurts' situation right now, you're just going to do so much more positive for your development when you're playing the game. And that, I'm not trying to say you have to be a finished product week 1 or week 2, or even your entire rookie season. But when you have a team like that, you don't have to be, especially with that mobility. You can grow each week, and it's the best of both worlds. You can still win football games too. So I think, again, teams sometimes approach this in a scared way. And I think they don't want to throw the bird out of the nest yet to see if it can fly, because they're afraid of the result, because they know the clock starts. And, Gino, I think San Francisco's roster, me and you both respect a lot, but they don't scare me at all with Garoppolo on Sunday. With Trey Lance, it's a different ball game.
Right. Yeah. You open up the dual threat type of game.
It's a
that
whole
he could
different
bring
element.
to you. He has a better arm. Like he could get that ball down the field. And I totally agree with you, Lou. And as much as we do get on Howie, like I don't think he's been one of those guys that sits on his laurel at quarterback. Like this entire
No, they
franchise,
don't settle. And that's what
And that's your ultimate point of this whole discussion, is being a team that doesn't settle. And if Jalen Hurts kind of like winds his way down and isn't what we saw in week 1 over the next stretch, like I bet they wouldn't settle. Like we saw them not settle with a guy that took them to multiple playoff appearances. And I don't know if you saw that quote from Howie Roseman, but he said every playoff game in the 4, we had to use our backup quarterback, which is kind of a sleight of hand there at Wentz. But at the same time, Lou, I believe, one, there's too much good quarterback talent coming through the ranks now, especially out of North Dakota State, Lou. Did you know that they have 3 quarterbacks in the NFL currently?
Guys don't need 5 years to develop anymore.
They play a very pro-style offense. He was there under Easton Stick, who was there under Carson Wentz. They have the formula to make their quarterbacks good. Why can't this kid play? I want to see, for the excitement factor, I just want to see good football players playing. I agree. 100%.
Me and you talked up Trey. We did a whole podcast locked on Trey Lance when we thought the Eagles could move up, and we loved this kid's upside. He's just a more that's the other thing. I just wanted to see Jalen Hurts against Trey Lance, and to give San Francisco
we will in the future, my friend.
We will for sure. So. I do give San Francisco credit because they're a team that made a Super Bowl 2 years ago and they still didn't settle. And so props to them. A lot of teams, again, could have sat on their hands in that situation and just kept running it back. But they didn't. I just don't think they're going far enough. I feel like now that should have led them to do what the Eagles did in 2016 and move on from Sam Bradford. Give the team to your rookie because that's inevitably what's going to happen anyway. So it is frustrating, I'd imagine, for 49ers fans, and because they know it's a matter of time. And too, Gino, like outside of Mahomes, what rookie that's, learning on the bench in his rookie year actually gets redshirted? By the first month or month and a half of the season, that guy's out there anyway, and they know it. So yeah, I just think it's a huge waste of time to see what these teams, especially the Niners and Bears, are doing. We'll continue to get into it deeper right here on Locked On Eagles. But guys, first, some shout outs to our sponsors today. And one of them is DirecTV Stream. Does this sound familiar? On Sunday, it might have. You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite shows. You're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbor's best friends log in for the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all of that entertainment you love without the hassle, and a great way to finally get your TV together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings your live TV and on-demand favorites together like never before. So you can watch your favorite sports, movies, and shows all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes and no need to buy another device ever again. And the best part, there's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter and the confusion and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible devices required. Content varies by package.
And if you're sitting down like myself and my fiance the other day and you're watching Monday Night Football, let's say, on DirecTV Stream, and you're watching Eli and Peyton, which I thought was a very good telecast, make sure you have a Built Bar next to you. I had my bowl of ice cream, which was mint, by the way. So I took that mint brownie Built Bar, Lou, heated it up as I always do, put it on top. It's just
solid topping.
Solid topping. You don't feel as guilty, when you get your froyo, you put all those toppings on, you just feel like a garbage disposal after. Not with Built Bar. There's 9 delicious flavors. You can always get their mix box, 2 of each of their 9 flavors, and they always have limited edition flavors. Not only are they delicious, they're healthy too. Like I said, I don't feel guilty when I eat them. I also don't feel like a pile of garbage. I feel nice and refreshed. I had one before my 5-mile walk today, 180 calories. 18 grams of protein, 5 grams of sugar, 5 grams of net carbs. For those keeping track at home, keto friendly, any diet that you're on, it's going to be something that you can enjoy. And right now, go to BuiltBar.com and use the promo code LOCKED15. That's locked, LOCKED 15, and you'll get 15% off your first order. Use the promo code LOCKED15. That's locked 15 for 15% off at BuiltBar.com.
All right, Eagles fans, welcome back into this Wednesday edition of your daily Philadelphia Eagles podcast. It's Locked On Eagles. Louis DiBiase, joined by Gino Camilleri, my co-host, as always. And Gino, we're taking a first look at this Eagles 49ers matchup week 2 on Sunday. And we were talking in segment 2 about the Niners' decision to continue with Jimmy Garoppolo, despite committing to Trey Lance, moving up for the 3rd overall pick to grab Lance out of North Dakota State. And this game is exciting for sure. I can't wait to see all the fans back at the link, to see the Eagles' opportunity to go 2-0. But it would have, like we said, it would have been way more fun just stylistically and the storyline too to see Jalen Hurts against Trey Lance. Not only because they're going to be 2 of the most entertaining mobile quarterbacks to watch for the future of the NFL, and you know how much me and Gino love that kind of quarterback play. But at the same time, this could be the guy the Eagles stuck with just storyline-wise, over a guy they could have maybe fought to move up and get in the 2021 NFL draft. Like, there's no report that the Eagles really liked Trey Lance, and although there was the Ian Rappaport report that they were considering moving up for Zach Wilson. I've been told by an Eagles beat reporter that was more of a miscommunication. But the point is, regardless of if they were trying to move up or not, it was never for Trey Lance. So it's interesting to see that. And then now them playing against San Francisco, excuse me, it would have been cool to see Hurts against Lance and see Hurts against maybe the guy that they passed on. It's just an interesting thing. And I do wonder, I would love to pick Howie Roseman's brain, especially this past offseason, about their quarterback approach, because I get not wanting Trey Lance over like the field of seeing what Jalen Hurts is, of next year's draft, of having these picks for potentially a veteran trade, all those options versus maybe just investing in Lance. I understand that. But I do wonder, like, did North Dakota State have anything to do with it? Because I would just love to talk to them about it.
I think, as those who watch Monday Night Football's matchup between the Raiders and Baltimore, it is a game of inches, and things in the NFL happen that within the blink of an eye they can change. And the whole quarterback situation is one of them, Lou. And all of a sudden, Jalen Hurts' jersey is the second most popular jersey on NFL.com.
I know it's spiked by 500% this week.
Dude, talk about a guy who missed out on the NIL deal in college. That kid would have got paid out the wazoo. He really missed the boat there. A lot of those Alabama quarterbacks did. But, Lou, I look at this not as going to be Jalen Hurts versus a guy that we both liked coming out of the draft, but can you beat one of these quarterbacks that is an annual playoff type of quarterback? And I'm just as excited to see that, because San Fran is one of these teams that both you and I have projected to go to the playoffs, and are a team that if you can compete.
I had them going to the Super Bowl assuming Lance takes over eventually.
Yeah. And if you could compete against that team, like, maybe this thing might be a little bit more on track than most people thought. Maybe this rebuild is happening a little quicker than we thought. I know week 1 is against Atlanta and San Fran played Detroit, but at the same time, if you can build on that and come out and be just as ready, and Jalen Hurts throws another 3 touchdowns, has another 250-yard performance, 50 yards with his legs, outduels Jimmy Garoppolo, I think he's going to get the notice of a lot of more national media and a lot more respect in that building, that he just went out there, he beat Matt Ryan, and now he's going to go and beat Jimmy G, 2 guys that have been in the Super Bowls, the guys that were in the last 5 years. Yeah, in the last 5 years. That's a big victory. We know that it's not QB wins, like, we don't count that, but at the same time, to perform as good as some of those guys that have laid the groundwork at that position for you, huge victory in my book. And I'm very excited to see how that whole thing plays out, because we could hold Jimmy G to under 165 yards like we did Matt Ryan, and I wouldn't bat an eye. Yeah,
it's the chess match too of Jonathan Gannon against Kyle Shanahan. I'm excited about too.
Very fun.
I think there's a lot of awesome storylines in this game that I'm really looking forward to talking about over the next couple of days right here on Locked On Eagles. Tomorrow, we've got our crossover with Brian Peacock from Locked On 49ers. And then Friday, we've got Locked On QB1. So Gino and I will really dive deep into Jalen Hurts' side of things here against San Francisco, his specific matchup against this team, looking back to his performance against Atlanta. We've both been doing a lot of digging on that tape, and it's really fun, although Game Pass is the worst product out there right now, and there is no all 22 right now. It's still fun to go back and watch Jalen Hurts against Atlanta. So we've got a jam-packed week of shows for you. We've got 3 already recorded, counting this, 2 more this week. We've got written content on Fox 43. We've got our side short YouTube videos as well. We're Talking Birds on Twitter, at Locked On Birds, at DBLCLOE, and at GC24_football. So guys, make sure you subscribe to Locked On Eagles on all podcast platforms, on Twitter, and on YouTube. That's going to do it for this Wednesday edition of the show. For my co-host, Gino Camilleri, I'm Lou DiBiase signing off. As always, thank you for downloading, thank you for listening, and let's go Birds.
Fly, Eagles, fly.